Welcome back to the deep dive. I have to admit, when I first looked at the stack of research for today, my immediate reaction was, well, a little cynical.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about empathy. And, you know, in the corporate world, or just in the daily grind of trying to survive, empathy often gets this label, this brand of being a soft skill.
The nice to have.
Exactly. It's the sprinkles on the cupcake, but it's not the actual cake. It feels optional. But the book we're covering today, The Genius of Empathy by Dr. Judith Orloff, it just completely blew that assumption out of the water for me.
I'm so glad you said that.
She's arguing this isn't just about being polite. This is a literal survival mechanism.
It is. And that skepticism you started with, that's the most common barrier. It really is. We tend to think of empathy as, just feeling sorry for someone.
Right. Pity.
Exactly. But Dr. Orloff, who's a psychiatrist and an empath herself, which is a fascinating combination, right? She bridges the hard science of medicine with this very intuitive world. She frames it so differently. She calls empathy a high-performance emotional technology.
A technology. I like that.
It's a form of intelligence. And honestly, given the polarization, the political divides, the just sheer anxiety we see everywhere right now, this deep dive feels less like a self-help chat and more like an emergency manual.
An emergency manual for how to exist with 8 billion other people.
That's it. How to coexist.
That scale is actually mentioned right up front in the book. I mean, you know you're onto something pretty significant when the foreword is written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
It certainly adds a little bit of weight to the argument, doesn't it?
Just a little.
Yeah.
But his point was so stark. He basically says that with 8 billion of us crammed onto this one planet, empathy isn't a luxury anymore. We can't just opt out.
It's a necessity.
It's a necessity. If we don't learn to understand each other, we're going to destroy each other.
Yeah.
But the part that really hooked me, and this is so central to what Dr. Orloff is saying, is that he emphasizes empathy can be taught.
Yes. This is the whole game.
It's not a fixed trait like your eye color. It's a muscle. You can either build it up or you can let it waste away.
Exactly. And that's really the mission of this deep dive today. We want to help you move from seeing empathy as this thing you either have or you don't, to seeing it as a skill set you can actually sharpen.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well, before we can even begin to build that muscle, we have to clear up a massive, massive misconception. This was a huge light bulb moment for me in the book, and I think it's where most of us get tripped up.
Okay.
We have to distinguish between empathy and compassion.
I will be the first one to admit I use those words completely interchangeably. In my head, they're the same thing. They just mean being nice.
And most of us do. It's totally normal. But in terms of your own energy, your psychological health, they function in completely different ways. Dr. Orloff defines empathy as the ability to really attune to another person's emotions. It's feeling with them.
Feeling with them.
It's immersion. You're connecting to their perspective, their visceral physical experience. If your best friend is grieving, empathy means you feel that heaviness in your own chest. You're actually connected to their suffering.
Okay, so empathy is that shared experience. You're right there in the water with them. So what's compassion then?
Compassion is feeling for someone. It comes with a desire to help, to serve, to make their suffering less. But, and this is the critical difference, compassion allows for a degree of distance.
Oh.
You can have compassion for someone who's suffering without actually drowning in it yourself.
I can see where this is going. Because if you're just operating on pure, raw empathy 24/7, just feeling with every single person you pass on the street, you're going to crash and burn.
You'll be burnt out by noon. Absolutely. And this is why so many people shut their empathy down. They think, I can't handle feeling all of this, so they just go numb. They put up a wall.
In there.
We all have. The genius that Dr. Orloff is talking about is learning how to have that empathetic connection without the depletion. It's about moving from what she calls the small self.
Which is our ego, our defensiveness.
Exactly. Our ego, our logic, our fear. Moving from that to the large self, which is our heart and our wisdom.
So the goal isn't just more empathy. It's smarter empathy.
Smarter empathy. Healthy empathy. That's the perfect way to put it. It's about being permeable enough to connect, but strong enough not to break.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics of this then, because one thing I really appreciate about Dr. Orloff is that she's an MD. She grounds all of this in biology. It kind of validates the feeling, to know there's actual hardware behind it. We aren't just making this stuff up. She talks about the mind's mirror.
Yes, mirror neurons. This was a massive discovery in neuroscience. Essentially, we have these very specific neurons in our brain that fire when we perform an action like, say, I pick up this water bottle.
Yep.
That those exact same neurons fire when I just watch you pick up a water bottle.
So my brain is literally simulating your action inside my own head.
It's simulating your state. It's why if you see someone slam their finger in a car door, you physically wince. You might even grab your own hand. Your brain is mirroring their pain.
Wow.
We are biologically, fundamentally wired to connect. We are not designed to be these isolated little islands.
That explains the contagious yawning thing.
Yeah.
Or when someone starts laughing uncontrollably and you start laughing even though you have no idea what the joke is.
Precisely. It's the neurological basis for feeling what others feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes even deeper than the mirror neurons and talks about the vagus nerve.
Right. The vagus nerve is having a bit of a moment right now. Everyone's talking about toning your vagus nerve.
It is. But it's so crucial for empathy.
Okay. Break that down for us. What's its role here?
So it's the longest cranial nerve in your body. It runs all the way from the brainstem down to the abdomen, and it is the absolute superstar of the parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest system. A well-toned vagus nerve is directly linked to our capacity for compassion and resilience. And here's the key. When we're stressed, we're in fight or flight. When you're in fight or flight, empathy is completely offline.
Right. You can't really worry about someone else's feelings if you think a tiger is about to eat you.
Exactly. But when we activate the vagus nerve through things like deep breathing or connection or even just humming, we are sending a signal to our body that says we are safe. And only when we feel safe can we open up that biological capacity to care for others.
It's so interesting because she also mentions the helper's high as part of this. It's like there's a chemical bribe our body gives us to be nice.
Nature's little cookie, yes. The helper's high is a totally real physiological response. When we give to others, when we connect empathically, our bodies release endorphins and dopamine. It feels good.
It's an evolutionary reward system.
It's reinforcement. The tribe that helped each other survive, the lone wolf, usually didn't make it, so our biology rewards us for making those connections.
However, and this is where it gets really interesting for, I think, a specific subset of our listeners. Dr. Orloff talks about something called sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS. This is related to being a highly sensitive person or an empath.
This is a vital concept in the book. SPS basically means that a person lacks the standard emotional filters that most people have built in. If you can imagine, most people have like a screen door on their mind.
Right.
It keeps out the flies, the noise, the stress, the extra stimulation, but it still lets the breeze in. People with high SPS, well, their door is just wide open.
Everything gets in, no filter.
Everything. They are so prone to sensory overload, loud noises, bright lights, scratchy clothes, and especially other people's stress. They process all stimulation at a much deeper, much more intense level.
I think a lot of people feel that way, but just assume they're being too sensitive or that they're weak.
Right. Society tells them that.
But Dr. Orloff frames it as a difference in wiring. It's not a defect. It's like having a high-definition receiver. And this leads us directly into what I found to be the most actionable, most useful framework in the first part of the book. The 4 styles of empathy.
This is such a helpful breakdown because not all empathy looks or feels the same.
I really want to go through these one by one and really dig in, because it seems like identifying your own style is the absolute first step in mastering this so-called genius. If you don't know your default setting, you can't adjust it.
Absolutely.
So style number 1, cognitive empathy. She calls this the thinker or the fixer.
Right. If this is you, you are cerebral. You approach emotions through the lens of logic. You want to understand the why and the how. You are, above all, solution-oriented.
I feel like a lot of men are socialized into this style. Oh, you have a problem. Here's a spreadsheet with 5 potential solutions.
It is a very, very common dynamic in relationships, yes. Now, the asset here is that the thinker is fantastic in a crisis. They don't get swept away by the tears. They're already looking for the exit strategy. They stay calm.
But the downside, the challenge, is that they can come across as cold or detached. If I'm pouring my heart out to you about a struggle, and you immediately start making a to-do list to fix it,
You don't feel heard.
no, I feel managed. I feel like a project.
Precisely. So the balance tip, what Dr. Orloff suggests for the cognitive empath, is a really simple practice. Feel more, fix less.
Feel more, fix less.
It requires a conscious pause, a breath. Before you offer the solution, you have to say something like, I appreciate how you're feeling, or I can see this is really hard for you. You have to validate the emotion first. You have to bridge that emotional gap before you try to build the tactical bridge.
Okay, feel more, fix less. I like that. All right, style number 2, emotional empathy. This is the feeler.
This is the polar opposite of the thinker. This is the emotional sponge. This person feels everything. They're incredibly compassionate, incredibly warm. The asset is that people feel so deeply seen and heard by them. They're the friends everyone calls when they're crying.
But the challenge is obvious, isn't
Yeah.
it? They just get completely overwhelmed.
Major brain out. It's almost a guarantee. Because they lack those internal boundaries, they literally take on the pain of the world. They are the ones who get compassion fatigue the fastest because they are carrying everyone else's luggage.
So what's the tip for the feeler? How do they protect themselves?
The tip is all about clear boundaries. And Dr. Orloff offers a very specific affirmation for this type. It is not my job to take on other people's pain.
Ooh, that's a tough one to learn.
It is, but it's crucial. You have to remind yourself, maybe even say it out loud, that you can care without carrying.
That distinction, caring versus caring, that is huge. Okay, style number 3, intuitive empathy. The subtle sensor.
These are the people who can read a room instantly. They just walk in and they know the vibe. They pick up on nonverbal cues, on energy, what Chinese medicine would call qi,
They're the ones who can tell when someone is faking it.
a mile away. If someone is smiling but they're seething with anger inside, the intuitive empath knows it immediately. They're basically human lie detectors.
But the downside is, what does she call it? Psychic fatigue?
Yes, they feel too open or exposed. Just walking into a crowded grocery store or a busy airport can feel like a full-on assault because they're picking up so much data, so much static from everyone around them.
So what's the balance tip for them?
The balance tip here is visualization. Dr. Orloff suggests visualizing a semi-permeable white light shield around your body.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here for a second.
Yep.
Does visualizing a shield actually do anything? Or is that just, wishful thinking?
It's a great question. For an intuitive person, visualization is an incredibly powerful psychological tool. It's not just pretending, it sets an energetic boundary. By visualizing that shield, you are actively signaling to your own brain, this is me, that is you, we are separate.
Ah, so it reinforces the idea of being distinct individuals.
Exactly. The intention is that it lets love and positive energy in, but it keeps stress and toxicity out. It's about setting a conscious intention for your own well-being.
I've heard of people imagining zipping themselves up in a sleeping bag of light before they go into a tense meeting.
Yeah.
It's the same idea, I guess.
Same exact principle.
Okay, the final one, style number 4, spiritual empathy, the vessel.
This style of empathy connects through a higher power. They see the act of empathy as a sacred practice, modeled after figures like St. Francis of Assisi. They channel their empathy through their relationship with the divine or the universe or nature, whatever that means to them.
So they see themselves as a kind of conduit for love.
Precisely.
That sounds really beautiful. What's the potential downside?
The main risk is something called spiritual bypassing, or even a kind of martyrdom. They might ignore their own very real, very human needs or difficult realities because they're so focused on this high spiritual ideal.
They might neglect their own body to serve others, for example.
Yes, or their own finances or their own emotional needs. The balance tip for them is the middle path. It's about grounding activities.
Like what?
Gardening, eating a good meal, literally feeling your feet on the earth. You have to stay connected to your body and to the physical world to be an effective vessel. You can't just float away into the ether.
So we have the thinker, the feeler, the sensor, and the vessel. It's fascinating just to sit here and think about where we might fit, or maybe we're a combination of a few.
Most people are a combination with one dominant style.
But regardless of our style, there is one common enemy that Dr. Orloff says is the enemy of empathy, and that is overthinking, the monkey mind.
Oh, yes. The monkey mind. This is where the small self, our ego, creates a massive barrier. Overthinking uses logic to argue us out of empathy.
How does it do that?
We start ruminating, holding grudges, analyzing who was right and who was wrong in an argument. We get stuck in our heads. Dr. Orloff quotes her Taoist teacher who once told her, "I don't get as bothered by things because I don't think as much as you."
That is hilarious and probably painfully true for a lot of us. The mind can just spin us right out of our hearts.
Yeah.
So how do we stop that spin cycle? She talks about something called the sacred pause.
The sacred pause is probably the most critical tool in the entire book. It's the gap, the space between the trigger, the thing that happens, and your reaction to it.
And the steps are simple.
But simple, but not easy to do in the heat of the moment. The steps are stop. Just stop. Do not send that angry text. Do not make that defensive phone call. Then take one deep breath, and then you tell yourself, I can handle this.
Why that specific phrase? Why I can handle this?
Because panic, that fight or flight response we talked about, it's rooted in the belief that we're unsafe, that we can't handle the threat. By affirming, I can handle this, you are actively shifting the energy in your brain from the reactive, emotional amygdala to the thoughtful, rational prefrontal cortex. You de-escalate your own brain.
You're taking back control. She also lists some specific strategies to stop overthinking that I found really practical. Some are kind of standard, like listening to music. She mentions artists like Enya, Bach. But she also talks about connecting with nature, specifically for the negative ions. What's that about?
It's not just about, nature looks pretty. There's real science there. Moving water, so oceans, waterfalls, even just taking a shower, it generates these things called negative ions. And they have a scientifically proven mood-boosting and calming effect on our biology.
So it's a way to physically disrupt the mental loop.
Exactly. It changes your physical state, which makes it easier to change your mental state. And the big mental shift she suggests is changing your internal question. Stop asking, what do I think about this? And start asking, how can I come from my heart?
How can I come from my heart?
It forces you to access a different neural pathway. It's a powerful reset button.
Okay, so we've prepped our biology, we've identified our dominant style, and we've paused the monkey mind. Now we can move into part 3 of this deep dive, healing relationships. And the core skill here, the high art, is empathic listening.
This is the absolute high art of connection, and the very first thing to understand is the crucial difference between listening and fixing. Dr. Orloff talks about the concept of holding space.
Holding space.
She quotes a source saying, listening is a magnetic and strange thing, a creative force. I love that. When we truly listen, we create the other person. We give them the space to unfold and discover themselves.
But most of us are terrible listeners, aren't we? We do what's called active listening, but in the wrong way. We're just formulating our next question while they're still talking.
Or we're just waiting for our turn to speak.
Yes.
Correct. So in this context, passive listening is actually the goal. It means just being a presence. It means bearing witness to their experience. It's not about asking a bunch of probing questions right away. It's just about letting the other person empty their emotional bucket.
The source outlines 10 steps of empathic listening. This is like a masterclass.
Yeah.
Let's walk through these because the details are so important. Step 1 is stay neutral, bear witness.
This means you don't intervene. You just observe. You are there to see, not to judge, not to change. You are the impartial witness to their truth.
Okay. Step 2, cultivate acceptance.
This one is so tricky. It means you do not have to agree with what the other person is saying in order to listen to it.
That's hard.
It's very hard. If your partner is saying, I feel like you don't care about the house, your immediate instinct is to defend yourself, to argue. Acceptance means just saying, okay, that is their truth in this moment. I accept that this is how they feel.
You're accepting their feeling, not necessarily the facts they're presenting.
You're decisive.
Step 3, set a time and place. This one feels very practical.
Super practical and super important. Do not try to have a deep, empathic conversation when you're hungry or exhausted or rushing out the door. It's a recipe for disaster.
And set a time limit.
Yes. Say, I have 20 minutes where I can give you my full, undivided attention. It creates a safe container, and it also protects you from getting completely drained.
Right. Step 4, stick to one topic.
This prevents the conversation from spiraling. You know how it goes. It starts with the dishes, and suddenly it's about something you did in 1998, and also you forgot to buy milk.
The laundry list of grievances.
Exactly, so you gently bring it back. Let's stay focused on this one thing for now.
Step 5, create a safe container. Unconditional positive regard.
It's an attitude. It's a vibe. It signals to the other person, you are safe with me. I am not going to attack you. Even if the conversation is really difficult, the underlying energy is one of safety.
Okay. Step 6 is read body language.
Are their arms crossed? Are they leaning away? Are they defensive? Is their tone of voice soft or is it aggressive? You have to listen with your eyes just as much as you listen with your ears. The body often tells the truth that the words are trying to hide.
Step 7, listen to intuition.
This is about checking in with yourself. How does your gut feel? Is your stomach tight and clenched? Or are you relaxed? Your body is giving you data about the emotional truth of this interaction, and it might be different from the actual words being spoken.
Step 8 is a really crucial concept that keeps popping up in this book. Practice loving detachment.
This is the absolute cornerstone of healthy empathy. Loving detachment means you are a bridge, not a wall. You care deeply, but you do not take on the emotion as your own. Dr. Orloff suggests visualizing the person in a circle of light that is outside of you.
So you're connected, but you're distinct. You're not merging with them.
Exactly, you are not merging.
Step 9. Conscious breathing and shielding.
Simple, but vital. Keep breathing. If you hold your breath during a tense conversation, you're just internalizing all that stress. And use that white light shield visualization again if the energy starts to feel too intense.
And finally, step 10. Bring to a close.
Respect the time limit that you set at the beginning. This protects you from burnout, and it also ensures that the quality of your listening was really high for that whole duration. And here's the kicker.
I know what you're going to say.
The listener does not offer feedback or advice unless they are explicitly asked for it.
That is the hardest part. It's so hard. We all want to jump in and give advice. Have you tried yoga? You should definitely dump it.
We want to fix it.
We want to fix it. But the power, she says, lies in the person feeling heard, not feeling fixed.
Exactly. And so often, just the act of being heard resolves the internal tension for the speaker. They talk their way to their own solution just because you gave them the space to do it.
Okay, so listening is one half of the equation.
Hmm.
But obviously, we also have to respond. And dealing with difficult people is where empathy really gets put to the test. Dr. Orloff gives us the 3 A's of empathic responding.
Right. Attitude, attention, and adjustment. It's a great little framework.
Break it down.
Attitude is simply conveying, I hear you. It's validation. Attention is, tell me more about what is going on, or clarifying, showing you want to understand. And adjustment is, okay, let's solve this together.
It shifts the whole dynamic from being adversarial me versus you to being collaborative.
Us versus the problem. It's a game changer.
She also talks a lot about conscious speech, using I statements instead of you statements. And she really emphasizes tone. She says, a kind refusal is better than a resentful yes.
Oh, that one is huge. It goes right back to boundaries. If you say yes to something, but your tone is dripping with bitterness and resentment, you are not doing anyone a favor. Empathy has to be authentic.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty. She has these workplace strategies for difficult types. We all have these people in our office. Let's run through the playbook. First up, the complainer.
The energy vampire. The complainer wants to drag you down into their spiral of negativity. The only strategy that works is to limit your time with them.
So you have to be firm.
You have to be firm, but you can be polite. You say, I have a deadline I have to get back to. Let's talk later. Or you give them a strict 2 minutes, and then you firmly but kindly close the container. The key is, do not feed the complaint with your sympathy, or they will stay there forever.
Okay. What about the inspector or the corrector, the person who always finds the one typo in your report or tells you you're doing something wrong?
The nitpicker. This can be so infuriating. The strategy here is validation without agreement.
What does that sound like?
It sounds like this. I value your opinion and I will consider it. Notice you're not saying they're right. You're not saying you're going to do what they say. You are just acknowledging that they spoke. It diffuses the power struggle because you're not fighting back.
Okay. The chronic talker.
Yeah.
The person who just will not stop talking.
You have to interrupt. It feels rude, it feels uncomfortable, but it is necessary self-preservation. Dr. Orloff suggests the polite interruption. Excuse me, I have to go to the restroom. It's the classic unbreakable escape hatch.
And finally, the passive-aggressive. The person who makes the snide comments, the backhanded compliments. Oh, nice presentation. I'm surprised you managed to pull it off.
Ugh, the absolute worst. The strategy here is to flush them out into the open. You have to ask for clarification.
So you call them on it, but gently.
Gently, with curiosity. You say, I'm confused by that comment. Can you explain what you mean? You force them to be direct. See, passive aggression relies on ambiguity to work. When you shine a bright light on it and ask for a direct explanation, they almost always retreat.
I love that. I'm confused. Can you explain? It puts the responsibility right back on them. The source also touches on neurodiversity here, which felt really important.
Yes. And it's such a vital application of empathy. It's about recognizing that people process information differently, whether that's due to autism or ADHD or just different cognitive styles. True empathy means meeting them where they are.
So it might mean slowing down your speech for someone or being more direct and less nuanced than you would usually be.
Exactly. It's about adjusting your transmission to fit their receiver.
This leads us into a huge topic that I think so many people struggle with: healthy giving versus codependency. Because a lot of empaths are natural givers. But Dr. Orloff is very clear that healthy giving is not always selfless.
No, not at all. Healthy giving has firm boundaries. It comes from a place of fullness, from your own cup being full. Codependent giving, on the other hand, is giving to control someone, or giving to please them, or giving to avoid being rejected.
So it's fear-based.
It's totally fear-based, not love-based.
There's a quote from Al-Anon that she uses, which I think is just a life raft for anyone who feels stuck in that codependent cycle.
It's so powerful. I didn't cause it, I can't control it, and I can't cure it. This is essential when you're dealing with addicts, or really anyone in a deep crisis. We often think if we just give enough of our money, enough of our love, enough of our time, we can save them.
But that mindset leads directly to the martyr complex.
It does.
She shares a really personal anecdote about visiting friends who were chain smokers.
Yes, she goes to visit these friends who she loves dearly, but the cigarette smoke is physically hurting her. It's making her sick. The martyr in her would stay and suffer just to be polite, sacrificing her own health for their comfort.
But the healthy giver.
The healthy giver, the person with healthy empathy, realizes, I love you, but I cannot stay in this environment, and she had to leave. That is a profound act of self-respect. If you don't advocate for your own needs, your giving will always become resentful.
Yeah.
And resentful giving is toxic for everyone.
And this is so related to caregiving. The super giver trap.
Caregiving is such a noble role, but it carries an extremely high risk of burnout. Dr. Orloff makes a great distinction between worry, which is anxiety-based and draining, and concern, which is loving attention and can be motivating.
Worry drains you, concern motivates you.
Yes. And she also mentions a visualization for when a period of intense caregiving ends, the importance of calling your energy back.
How does that actually work? What do you do?
You literally sit quietly and visualize all of the energy you poured into that person, all the worry, the time, the focus. You visualize it returning to your own body, filling you back up. It's a way of making sure you aren't left completely hollowed out when the crisis is finally over. It's about reclaiming your own life force.
That is a beautiful and powerful image. Now, we have to go to the darker side of this. We've been talking about empathy, but what happens when empathy is completely absent? Part 6 of the book covers empathy deficient disorders.
This is the other end of the spectrum. On one end, you have the highly sensitive empath. On the other end, you have what's sometimes called the dark triad: narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. And the single defining characteristic here is that they lack the neurological ability to empathize. They literally cannot feel what you feel.
That is just terrifying to me, because we operate on the assumption that everyone has a conscience. We project our own capacity for empathy onto them.
And that is a very dangerous assumption to make. Dr. Orloff makes this key distinction that I think is so brilliant. She says, a healthy person wants you to see how powerful you are. A narcissist wants you to see how powerful they are.
Wow. That's the litmus test right there.
It is. It tells you everything you need to know about their motivation.
Well, let's focus on narcissism.
Yeah.
Because it's the one we're most likely to encounter in our relationships and at work. She breaks down their tactics: love bombing, gaslighting, hoovering.
It's a predictable, vicious cycle. First comes the love bombing. This is the hook. It's intense flattery, constant attention, lavish gifts. It feels like a fairy tale. You honestly think you've met your soulmate.
And then what happens?
Then, once you're hooked, the gaslighting begins. They start to destabilize your sense of reality. They deny things they said. They'll tell you, I never said that, or you're being crazy, or the classic, you're just too sensitive.
And if you try to leave?
If you try to leave, that's when the hoovering starts, like the vacuum cleaner. They will do anything to suck you back in, sudden apologies, manufactured drama, promises to change.
Dr. Orloff uses the slot machine analogy for this, which made so much sense of why people get stuck.
It explains the addiction perfectly. It's the psychological principle of intermittent reinforcement. If a slot machine never paid out, you'd just walk away. If it paid out every single time, you'd get bored.
Right.
But if it pays out randomly, unpredictably, you become addicted to pulling the lever. Narcissists are nice just often enough to keep you hooked, to keep you hoping for that jackpot of affection. You stay in the relationship, waiting for the nice version of them to come back. But the nice version is just the bait.
So how on earth do we protect ourselves from this?
Oh.
What are the strategies?
First and most important, don't fight. You cannot beat a narcissist at their own game. They don't care about the truth. They only care about winning. You will exhaust yourself.
Okay, don't engage. What else?
Second, she mentions a Buddhist concept, ride the wild ox backward. It's about maintaining your own emotional stability even when everything around you is chaotic. You stay centered, you stay calm, no matter how wild the ox gets.
And the third strategy is the gray rock method.
Yes. Be a gray rock. Be as boring and uninteresting as possible. Don't give them the drama or the big emotional reactions that they feed on. If they insult you, you just say, okay. You give them nothing.
And there's a test she suggests, a way to spot them early on before you get too deep.
The no test. It's brilliant. Early in a relationship, create a minor disagreement. Say no to something small. No, I can't meet for dinner tonight. I have other plans. And then watch their reaction.
What are you watching for?
A healthy, secure person will respect your boundary. Oh, okay, no problem. A narcissist will view your no as a profound personal attack. They will likely rage or guilt trip you or try to punish you for it. If they can't handle a small no at the beginning, run.
That is a tool everyone should have in their back pocket. Okay, finally, let's zoom all the way out. Part 7. Empathic leadership. This is about taking these skills and healing the world.
It really is. It's about the shift from mission-focused leadership, which is often authoritarian and fear-based, to people-focused leadership, which is built on trust and collaboration. Dr. Orloff even proposes this radical idea of a chief empathy officer in companies.
A CEO.
A chief empathy officer, someone whose entire job is to tend to the emotional health of the company culture.
It sounds like a made-up title, but when you think about it, imagine the impact. She gives these great before and after scenarios. Like, if someone on your team makes a mistake, the old way is to shame them. The empathic leader asks, how can we prevent this from happening next time?
Right.
If the workload is overwhelming, you don't say, stop whining and get it done. You say, I know this is a lot. Let's support each other and figure this out.
It's about humanizing the workplace. And then she takes it global. She points to leaders like Jacinda Ardern or Nelson Mandela, who used empathy as a form of soft power. The core message of empathy, whether it's to an employee or a voter or your own family member, is incredibly simple. You matter to me.
You matter to me.
That's the glue. That's what holds society together.
As we wrap up this deep dive, let's just try to summarize. Empathy is a spectrum. It's a skill set. It involves listening. It involves pausing, shielding, and sometimes it involves disconnecting from toxic behavior. But I want to leave our listeners with this one thought that really stuck with me from the book. Dr. Orloff mentions this fascinating, kind of disturbing observation from her medical residency. She said, the meanest patients often lived longer.
Yes. It's such a shocking paradox, isn't it?
It is. Why is that? What's the thinking there?
Because they clung ferociously to their life force. They had a fierce will to live. They fought for their needs. They demanded attention. The nice ones, the ones who didn't want to be a burden, sometimes they just quietly slipped away. They were too passive.
That is just haunting. So the provocative thought to leave you with is this. How can we find that balance? How can we have that fierce life force, that refusal to give up, that strong boundary without losing our kindness? How can we be both fierce and kind?
That's the ultimate balance, isn't it? Fierce kindness.
For those of you wanting to put some of this into practice right away, here's your call to action. Try the empathy in action exercise from the book for just one day before you speak to anyone, your partner, your boss, the barista at the coffee shop. Ask yourself this one simple question. How can I come from my heart? And just see how it changes your day.
It changes everything.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, you matter to us. We'll see you next time.